wonderful extended start to their break. You know what I mean? Hectic week and all them something there. So it's going to be an entertaining build. Saturday sessions. We here, man. We're cooking up, dissecting, um, doing a little bit of an autopsy of sorts on various topics. So sit back and enjoy, man. We here.
Real talk, man. We in the building, man. We in the building. You know how we do this, man. Before we even move further from this point, Noble, how's the week been? How are you doing?
Wonderful, sibling. Wonderful. Listen, every week, it's like, like you're on a sled and you're going down a hill, and the more you go down the hill, the faster you get. It's like that, man. It's just every week gets quicker, gets faster, gets enjoyable, challenging. But I'm loving the experience, man. I'm loving where I am and I'm loving the time, but can't wait to get to where we're going to. You know what I mean?
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. So yeah, like I was saying to you, just to halfway continue our offline conversation, I reckon that give me a few more months, yeah. I don't think I'll be called a casual MMA fan anymore. Like when I tell you, no, like I've been watching a lot of fights, just a lot of historical fights, just learning a lot more about the sport, starting to understand the skill level more. Like it's a real brutal, but it's a sport that's based off. You can't really hide. I don't think natural talent beats hard work in that field. I think in boxing, natural talent cannot work hard and still come out on top. Whereas in mixed martial arts, I think you can have natural talent, but you need to have the hard work included in that because your cardio has to be on point.
Mm.
Like it has to be on point. So I'm definitely understanding why MMA, because I've learned as well not to call it UFC. That's an organization. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? MMA is becoming I reckon, I think probably the next, I'm gonna say 15 years. I think if things continue like this, within 15 years, I think MMA can become the number one mainstream combat sport. Especially if Sky pick it up, if Sky take it from BT, yeah,
Mm.
that's when they've gone clear. If Sky take MMA from BT in the UK, that's the push MMA have always needed. Trust me, and we
Mm.
gone clear. So talk to me. I know you had some Francis Ngannou talk as well. Let's talk, man. Let's talk.
Yeah. Let's talk the thing, man. So, lineal UFC champion Francis Ngannou has done the unspeakable, as many people should know. He waited for the sunset clause in his contract, which, for those who don't know, it's a 5-year clause basically, where after a 5-year period of being in that continuous contract, you have the option to say, "Adios, Migan." Whereas before that, there is the championship clause, where if you are a champion, you then have to continue to fight until you lose that strap. And in essence, you extend your contract by 3 fights. So as a champion, you will be perpetually in the UFC. There was a class action lawsuit that's been filed many years back, mid 2000s, or maybe no, it was a bit later. I think it was a bit later, probably the 2009 upwards. But multiple people filed a class action lawsuit, which is still in the court system now. And as a result of that, the sunset clause was put in place. So Francis was one of the first people to take advantage of this, and Nick Diaz has kind of taken advantage of that as well and become a free agent. So we're talking free agency. The heavyweight champion of the world, UFC champion, the most recognizable North American fight promotion, has been a free agent for a considerable length of time. Now, this brother, I guess, give you some more backstory, from Cameroon, come from very, very, very humble conditions, attempted to seek a better life. Mike Tyson was one of his idols. He wanted to be a boxer. So he said, I'm gonna track across the deserts through multiple different countries in the continent of Africa and attempt to, make it to Europe, etc., so I can pursue my dreams as a fighter, as a boxer. Yeah.
Mm.
In this process, Mark, he's caught how many times? I think it's three or more times, and he's imprisoned in those detention camps and all that. He was working in Cameroon in salt mines. You know the conditions that the man's work in
Crazy.
salt mines. They're literally digging. No, is it? No, not a salt mine. Sorry, it's sand. It's doing something to do with sand. Some back breaking, laborious work for very little money. So he's gone through all of this. Ends up in France. Francis, someone, a brother there basically links him up, sees the potential in him, and invests his time and his money, and was his coach slash trainer and financier. Took him to the UFC. They had a little bit of, discrepancies after his first title challenge, and he changed camps. So now we're in the situation where he's sitting there saying, "Look, yeah, man, I'm boxing Fury, Joshua, I've boxed, Deontay Wilder." Now, as you know, Mark, and you know better than me, it's apples and oranges, man. Like, he's got the power to definitely put anybody's lights out, but when we've got big pillows on our hands and we're fighting Queensberry rules, it's a different thing, man. The range is different, the foot placement is different. So it's a noble act, it's a noble idea, and I rate what he's doing, but I don't think he's got the right people behind him to facilitate this idea of him doing these big boxing kind of things. So that's just a little background. So the most breaking news, and we're going to go into some other other elements, pardon self, about that, is Floyd Mayweather is now saying, "I'm interested in signing Mr. Francis Ngannou to my promotion to facilitate his boxing desires." To pick
Okay.
it up. Mm.
All right. All right. So I got a couple questions before I go into my actual opinion.
Yes.
Okay. So how old is Francis Ngannou?
36 or something like that, I believe.
Um, and you said he wanted to be a boxer originally.
Yes.
I mean, he's got a name. We'll talk about the MMA in a second, but he's
Mhm.
built up a name. Am I correct in saying that he left the UFC as their heavyweight champion?
Exactly.
Okay, so
Exactly. Which
he's all that money. That's what you call leaving money on the table, because
mhm.
what that means is no matter what happens, he has to be addressed as a champion. So he can always go and get that money no matter what happens in his career now. So okay, as far as MMA, especially when it comes to top level MMA, which is the UFC, there is a lot of conversations about how much money, the splits. Now the UFC,
Yes.
you gotta keep, you gotta be 1,000% real when you're discussing what it is that they've managed to do.
Mm.
They've got what you called a real WWE.
Hmm.
They've got a real WWE that it's the shows on the road and the money being generated is phenomenal. Now you do hear that the splits are not the best, so I'll lead the conversation with that. But when it comes to someone like Francis Ngannou, and especially now you've gave me that backstory, I can see that he probably, he's not really here to mess around. He wants to get the most money, in
Mm.
the shortest space of time, and rightly so because it's a brutal sport. But what I think happened is this: 2017, I believe it was, when Mayweather fought McGregor, or 2016, whatever the year was, when Mayweather fought McGregor. What that did is it let UFC fighters, top level UFC fighters, see that the boxing MMA crossover can be very, very lucrative. Now, that's a positive thing, but it's also a negative thing because what you have happening now, Noble, is UFC champions are calling out boxing champions. So Carrara Usman, who was the champion before Rocky, big up Rocky, Kamara Usman was calling out Canelo.
It's just
You know what I mean?
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but what it is he understands that that Canelo fight is worth more than his entire career in MMA.
Indeed.
So a lot of people are trying to jump in these fights. I know there's a lightweight who's calling out Javante Davis. So all these different MMA fighters are calling out boxers. So they're calling boxers out to get these paydays. Now, Ngannou, what's happened is, and you got to blame a lot of this on the boxers too, you know, because Ngannou was doing his thing, building a beautiful fan base. When you watch him in the ring, in the octagon, sorry, he's brutal.
Mm.
However, what was happening is Tyson Fury and this one and that one were saying his name. One of them even brought him into the ring.
Yes.
So he's starting to taste that money. So when the UFC are saying like, yo, we're going to give you a contract worth, I believe it was 8 million a fight.
Yes.
He's looking and saying, well, I can get a boxing match where I'm not really going to take that much punishment. Yeah, I'm not going to have to, even if I lose, I can still come back here and get money as well. So I think his eye has been on that. Now, what bothers me about the situation is a lot of the fans kind of goaded him out of the UFC too. Like a lot of people were saying the fighters ain't getting paid well, all of this. Now he's gone. You're not really hearing no one having that conversation. And in my head, I feel like he is in his prime, 36, 37. We're talking, especially for a heavyweight, that's
Exactly.
your prime. You might only have 2 more, 3 more top fights in you. Because don't get it twisted, when you're taking punches with them little MMA gloves, that's doing something to you in the long run.
Of course.
So you got to understand, Ngannou, he's kind of following. I get it, because it's hard to tell someone not to go after the big money. But if you look at the heavyweight division in boxing right now, it's super stacked. Like the belt can go any which way. There's no one person who reigns above all. There's so much upcoming talent. You got to put Fury at the top of the pile, but at the same time, he's a messer. So you're not going to get Francis Ngannou and Fury in the ring anytime soon. You're not going to get Wilder and Ngannou in the ring, Joshua. They've all got paths that are way more important than taking on that type of crossover fight right now. So Mayweather comes in. He's saying, oh, you can get him into boxing and all that. Who's he going to box? He's not going to box none of the top guys. And the only way to generate that level of money is by boxing the top guys. The best thing for Ngannou to do, if I was him, and Noble, you can tell me if I'm wrong, because as of now, I'm still an MMA casual, but is to go back to Dana and say, Dana, I need to jump back in this thing. However, can we do something more than if it's about money, can we do something else or whatever? That John Jones fight is the biggest fight to be made in the MMA heavyweight division. Make the fight. Forget all this, I'm going to box. There's nobody to box. Make the fight with John Jones, because surely if John Jones is in the UFC, who's like, they're calling him the GOAT.
The GOAT?
Yeah. Is he getting paid way more than, because they said that Ngannou's contract was the highest heavyweight contract. Is that correct?
It would have been if he'd have taken it. Now, I can't 100% confirm whether it was 8 mil a fight. I don't think it was. I think it was just an 8 mil contract. At UFC got the money to do that there. They've more than got the money to pay him 8 million a fight. But just thinking how conniving they are as business operators, I don't think they're giving him 8 mil per fight. I think that's probably a 3-fight deal split over 3 fights or something like that with pay-per-view points. And in your sponsorship, I think they get like for a champion, you'll get at his level. I think you get from like whoever the companies are now, because it's like, well, Reebok is still in there. No, it's Venom and Under Armour, and then the Rock's shoes and all that. So he'll probably get maybe 150 wow off that as well. Um, okay, so let's look at what you've just said. Let's unpack the latter part of what he said. John Bones Jones, take. I won't even mention it. So let's talk about his fighting career. He's like, he's the man. Not as exciting as he once was, but he's still the man. He's holds a lot of records, etc. He blew through Cyril Gane in the first round. I was so shocked, dismayed, yet surprised that he was so easily able to just do what he did to Cyril Gane and submit him like that. Whereas Francis Ngannou, now this is where you play MMA math where it never ever works, had a 5-round war with Cyril Gane, and Cyril Gane was winning some of those exchanges until Francis, with his bad knees, turned into a wrestler and got him down and basically held him down. Didn't really do any damage, but held him down and retained his championship. And that was at that point, he said, yep, 5 years, done the ding, and that's where we're in now. But prior to that, Mark, let's rewind the thing. He was hollering, come on, John Jones, you go check Twitter now, you'll see the exchanges from way back from when he became a champion. He was like, yeah, man, come on, John Jones. Didn't you say you've relinquished your lightweights because you beat up everybody down there? You want to come up and play in the big boys thing? Come, I'm ready. And that was going back and forth for a year plus. Also, to add into the mix, Israel Adesanya and John Jones were going back and forth about, let's fight this and that. So people talk a lot. People do talk a lot. I mean, it would be interesting to see those two style fights, but the weights are crazy different, especially now he's a heavyweight. But they had an opportunity to make that fight then within that year plus. John Jones was apparently dragging his feet, saying how he wants to get paid. At this point, at this juncture, you had John Jones saying, I want more money. If you want me to fight at a heavyweight, I need more money. You want me to fight this geezer called the Predator, who you're telling me punches as hard as a Ford Escort. Yeah? I need more money for that there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Jorge Masvidal was saying the same thing. Whole heap of big name fighters was like, yo, we need to talk about the money still. Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely going to get paid more.
Yes. So I think the fight could have been made earlier, but that wasn't in the UFC's. They're like, no, we're not paying you that kind of money. They realize now that, okay, well, maybe we're going to have to start paying extra a little bit more than what we've been promising, etc., etc. But they had their opportunity. Like, he's left now. He's saying, look, give me a boxing opportunity. I would have stayed at UFC if you would have looked at these things. And one of the main things was like, I want to still box. Dana White, who is very flip-floppy, he's like a blade of grass in essence. Yeah. One time he'll say, yeah, man, we'll do the deal, man. We'll do the deal. Next thing you know, he'll say, yeah, Francis is a pussy still, You don't want to fight, you know what I mean? He wants to fight, obviously, but you don't want to fight the top tier in the UFC. He just wants to fight, like, lesser competition. But then 3, 4, that's why he's the Predator. He'll knock people's heads off, man. He's the most exciting heavyweight we've ever had, this and that. So, up and away if you like. So we can't necessarily listen to anything that Dana says. With any real, unless it's signed and sealed and delivered, but he's just all over the place, and that's what a promoter does. They're there to promote and to apply pressure. You know what I mean? The pressure and all that. So, I don't think he should go back at this point, because they're not going to give him no boxing. They're not going to give him a boxing opportunity. He's been clear about that. It's like it seems that only McGregor was able to pull that off. He needs to go. Now, look, there's 2 options. There's 3 viable options where he could fulfill all of those dealings potentially. First one, I would say, the most promising one, I would say, and based upon Chatri Sitatong, who is the CEO of One Championship, he's done 2 interviews recently because they've got their first US show in Denver in May.
Okay.
He's saying, yeah, man, we're still in talk. You blessed?
Yeah, sorry. I'm here messing with the mic and all sorts. Ignore me. Ignore me.
Okay, no
Apologies.
problem. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's saying, look, yeah, we're still in talks with Francis, and we've yet to give him our final offer. He's having a meeting with him in LA at some point. It may have already happened to give their final offer. Now, with one, it's mixed martial arts, it's kickboxing, it's Muay Thai. They've done a WBC championship fight within one as well before. They do submission grappling. Uh, they cover a plethora of sports, right? So to me, that makes the most sense. Go to one. You can do some mixed martial arts. You can even mess around, do some kickboxing. But most importantly, you could actually have a boxing match there, and they will facilitate that whole thing. We may not be able to get the same potential level of name unless he does some kind of co-promotion thing. But that's your first option. Second option, Bellator, who are on Showtime. Most of the stuff that's shown on Showtime, boxing stuff, right?
Correct.
So there's an intrinsic link with the MMA promotion who will be more than happy to say, okay, we're going to give you this guap, not as much as you asked for, but we're going to give you the guap, but we're also going to give you the opportunity to fight on Showtime Boxing. We'll do a co-promotion thing, Bellator and Showtime Boxing, and then we'll get some contenders and even some. He doesn't necessarily need to, for his first fight like a big ass name. Why would he necessarily need to do that to get that money there and then? No, he doesn't. He could just fight.
That's what they're saying, though, isn't it, Noble? That he's trying to get the best paydays right now. It's not really about, because you're not going to build a boxing legacy at 36. That's impossible. Because really, you would have to really for him to really have a run at the title. He don't beat none of the top 10 in any of the rankings, so it's difficult for him to have a run at the belt. It has to be it has to be an exhibition. It can't be like a ranked boxing match. It has to be an exhibition. And who's he going to box? Okay, if he jumps in with Wilder, yeah, and Wilder lands, which he will, it's gonna end really bad. Like, the two sports are so different. You only have to look at Jake Paul, who's boxing Tyron Woodley, who was like some top champion. I think he defended his belt 4 times.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And he was like rated as a top striker.
Exactly. He wasn't a striker. He was a wrestler, grappler.
He wasn't a striker.
No. He had. Listen, his go-to move was an overhand right. That's what he knocked out Robbie Lawler with to get the championship out.
Okay.
And a couple uppercut 20s on the ground. He's not a striker. He's very limited in his striking repertoire. He's got power, but he's limited. He's very, very limited. And I respect Tyrone, man. I respect for what he's done. But as the sport evolved, and with him becoming a champion money and champion mindset came in, and rather than the full champion mindset was, I still got to work. And the man was recording with Wiz Khalifa, doing movies and all kind of stupid shit, rather than perfecting his craft. Know that there's an up-and-coming killer from Nigeria called Kamaru Usman, who just literally took the piss out of him for the whole 5 rounds. Wasn't the most exciting fight. Don't get it twisted. There wasn't, he was just very active, man. Kamaru was hella active, just controlled the hell out of Tyrone.
That's the thing, no, but like, if you think about it, like, Jake Paul's fought Tyron Woodley twice. Yeah. Ben Askren, which I know he's meant to be a wrestler, and Anderson Silva, who's a top striker. And you got to think, Jake Paul he's a decent level boxer, but if he wouldn't even beat like British level, you know what I mean? He wouldn't beat a British level guy. So look what he's doing with these MMA, man. Yeah. So I'm saying, like, what it is when you're fighting. It's like saying it's like a rugby player trying to play American football.
Yes.
It looks it's still very similar, but it's 2 complete different skill sets. In MMA, the gloves are lighter, the punches are thrown from more of a distance. You know what I mean? When they're striking, when them mans are striking, what I notice is the stance. The stance is wider, your hands are wider apart. The bombs it's completely different. If you go into a boxing ring, I don't think Francis gets at around 3. If them man are going full steam, he don't get out of round 1. But if he don't get out of round 3, if man are trying to put a show on, like
Do you
Mayweather
think
did with McGregor.
do you think Fury would knock him out in the first round?
It
Because
either
Fury,
it would. I'm not saying he's not. Fury hasn't got that one punch KO power,
yeah,
but he will stop him. Most definitely, he'll stop him, because what will happen is once Francis will open up, if you open up how he opens up on when he's striking in MMA, Fury's gonna be all over him. And if they come, and if that's a wilder, and the right hand gets through, the right hook gets through, the left hook gets through, the straight right gets through, yo, he's out of here, man. And it's definitely going to get through, because you are not a boxer. It doesn't matter who trains you, Mayweather, whoever. Mayweather trained Tyron Woodley. Well, not he wasn't his main trainer, but they done sessions, and it don't help. It doesn't. MMA is. I think MMA, where they're heading, there's gonna be man that they're gonna have to pay the big dough to. They ain't come about yet, but that sport, like, even if when you think about even with what Leon's achieved, apparently Renegade is busier than it's ever been now. Because millions of children are going there, millions of people are going there, because everyone knows Brum has a champion. So people are now, the sport, you know how much people are going to that sport. So I think MMA just needs time to develop more. I'm telling you, the UFC are going to have to pay the money. But this boxing crossover thing has to stop, man. It's getting, I know McGregor and Mayweather did it, but Mayweather damaged boxing a lot as well. As much as he is a top fighter, he beat a lot of champions. His skill set is one of the most beautiful skill sets that you'll ever see. However, he ruined the sport, and he brought a lot of bad practice to the sport of trying to, keep you old, fighting man when they get older, not making the prime time fights. So what's happened now is other boxers are doing the same thing. So boxing is dying, and we'll get into the tank fight in a bit. But boxing is dying. So I'm saying the MMA guys, you can lose. Like when I listen to Colby Covington talk, you would think this guy is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. But when you check it, and he's got losses and stuff, but that's how it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
Know what I mean? MMA do not. You're not washed up after a few losses. Look at Nate Diaz.
Hey, no. Don't use him as an example. Use the guy who's just retired, who's very financially successful. So he says Jorge Masvidal, a.k.a. the Running Man. He has lost more fights than he's won.
You see it?
Yeah, he's a pay-per-view draw. He's a pay-per-view draw, apparently.
You have to sell yourself. No, but you got to. When it comes to this combat sports, I know it sounds really bad, and I know you, because we interviewed Aljamain Sterling, so I know you know Aljamain. But this morning I was watching him on ESPN, and when I was watching him, I was like, these man, you can tell these men are very talented individuals, but to sell the fight is another story. Like people, and it's really bad. Even me saying this is really bad. Like that, you have to do that. But McGregor was a showman, man. It was just a straight showman. That press conference, okay, all the bad things that were said and all the negativity, but who's not buying that pay-per-view after that press conference?
Exactly.
Leonardo DiCaprio paused filming of whatever movie he was filming. I think it was that one with the Bears, I believe, to go to that fight. When Khabib jumped out the ring.